Zane, this is like a massive day for me. So before I get into all of the questions, I just need to express to you just some strong gratitude right now, because you probably can hear it in my voice, but I would say probably 10 years ago, I was a creative at the Apple Store in Perth City. And I would do all the workshops and teach people how to use iPhones and everything like that. And I knew there was something for me outside of the store. And I couldn't really pick what it was. And being a huge Apple fan, I got to experience the launch of Apple Music. And I heard your first break. It went from a Brian Eno song into City by Spring King. And the moment you said, "We're always on," was the moment I knew what to do for my life.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that, man.
Of course. If it wasn't for your work, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. I wouldn't be in Sydney doing what I do. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you. I feel very fortunate to have been a part of that journey in any capacity. You would have found it in some capacity, in some way, through some outlet, because you were searching for it. But if that was the day and that was the moment, then what an honor for me.
There was just something there's just something about your voice that cuts through any song, any bit of music.
It's called yelling.
It's yelling. I love that. I mean, you know what? I'm going to say that actually probably is the truth at some degree, because that's what I do on most of my weekend shifts. But I remember hearing there was something that Eddie Q played at one of the launches, and it was with King Kunta. And you were just vibing, and it was just you talking about Beats One, and it really cut through. And to this day, every single time I'm on air, every single time I talk over music, I really try to meet that standard.
That's kind so of awesome. Level of, I mean, I had those people in my life too, and I think it's such a precious opportunity. This to find something that you love, and then figure out through your own mood board or your own specific selection of elements what's going to be your roadmap, your journey, what's going to help remind you what's important. And I had those, and you have those, and when people find those, I think it's just amazing. Like I'm always blown away by that.
I want to go to the beginning, if that's all right with you.
Yeah, wherever you want.
When was the moment that you realized music is not really just something that you love, but it is the one thing that you pretty much base your entire life around? Yeah. Do you remember that one moment?
My parents would tell you that it was long before I could tell you, that they recognized it from a very early age. And I think that's true of all children. I think that when you're sort of developing your sensory awareness, certain things will immediately jump out to you. I mean, there isn't a little baby alive right now that isn't going to move around and bop when they hear music to some capacity. It's just what sticks. My thing in life is it's like those early things present themselves or are presented to you if you're fortunate by the people that love you and raise you, and then if you're aware of it, you'll zero in on the thing that kind of really grabs you, or someone will remind you, at a very young age you seem to really respond to that. Music was always that for me, and but I think on a cognitive level, sort of in terms of my own decision making, I think it was probably just sort of to just dive in deep with you, because I think you'll understand and appreciate where I'm going with it. I think when my parents separated and this kind of 80s divorce thing presented itself, which was new to the world, it felt at the time. At least to me as a young kid, I was like, I don't even know what this word means. Yeah. I think my taste became my shield. It became the thing that really allowed me to get to know myself better at a time in my life when I'm not sure that I had much room to do that. I was just trying to figure out how to be a part of this kind of new, changing, pretty awkward equation. And my taste in music was the thing that gave me a safe space to explore and to dream and to think and to use my imagination. And I took it very seriously, and I embraced it entirely. Like when I discovered Depeche Mode for the first time, obsessed. Yeah. Obsession. Absolute obsession. When I discovered Led Zeppelin for the first time, setting up makeshift drum kits with the tops of cardboard boxes and and everyone does this to some degree with sports, athletics, whatever, they imagine themselves, they play cricket against a wall.
Sure.
You know, but for me it was like proper elaborate drum kits with chopsticks, playing entire albums, like in my head, like I'm in Led Zeppelin. Not like for 5 minutes, like sweating after 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Because in my head I'm like at Madison Square Garden playing this like in a room with the door closed, like completely obsessed with this thing. But looking back on it now, I realize it was kind of, I was looking for escapism, really, which is good too, by the way, escapism.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, I think a lot of artists tend to use that as a way to cope with the reality of their world, or understand the person that they're, I think it's the first taste of the person that they're becoming. It's like a little hint.
I think it's where you grab something and you make it yours, and you realize that if I'm going to spend time and energy and thought and imagination and manifestation skills and anything I was to develop over life onto something, it's this thing.
Yeah.
And then, excuse me, it becomes this obsession. And I'm obsessive compulsive in terms of my wiring anyway. So I think the fact that it found music was a blessing. You know,
I can relate to you when it comes to that. When it comes to playing the drums, or imagining yourself in Madison Square Garden. For me, that was Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
And thinking I'm in Motown 25 and doing the moonwalk for the first time, or the gloves, or a lot of kids can relate to putting the hat on and thinking they're performing for
people. I think it's like, honestly, I think it's a shift. I think it's shifting energy. I think it's tapping into a common energy. I think because something happened 20 years ago in a different part of the world that seems to be from a completely removed from where you are at this moment in time. When you find something that makes you feel it that viscerally, it removes all of that distance and all that time, and all of a sudden you're as close as you can be to that experience because you're feeling it in such a real way.
Yep.
How can it not change your life, change your chemistry, change your makeup, change the trajectory of that you're on? It just does. And anyone I've spoken to over the course of my life who's an artist has had moments like that, where what seems impossible seems very possible based on the feeling they get in that moment, no matter how far detached or isolated they may be.
It really is people's first introduction to frequency, to like different levels of frequency.
Boom.
I would say, right?
Boom.
I mean, people do that nowadays to put themselves to sleep, or to get into a certain state of mind.
It is all an energy and a frequency, man. All of it.
Yeah, I believe that's why it's so powerful.
That's why we're here.
It's why we're here. It is why we're here. I've got a question about your craft, because I was thinking back 10 years ago, if I was to ask Zane Lowe a few questions, what would I want to pick his brains about? And I think a lot of people who are in my place, who are still broadcasters, aspiring broadcasters, who tap into the frequency of music, or just allow music to take over their life, I would love to know when you sit down with an artist, what are you actually listening for beyond their words?
I am trying to let the words paint a picture of where they are in their life, and I'm trying to identify the colors that they want to show me at any given time. Okay. And that picture can change shape all the time. It's not fixed. So it could start with reds and greens and blues. And I'm not talking about synesthesia. Nothing is as defined as that. But I'm just trying to describe it. You could use any descriptive, like the changing light in the room. I'm trying to stay in the light. And if the light gets a little gloomier and it goes a different way, I'm trying to move into that light and not try to bring the bright light back in. I'm trying not to fight anything. And I'm trying not to control anything. And I'm just trying to be as present as possible with the person in front of me and honor the opportunity that's presented to both of us, which is, where's the curiosity, where are the open doors, and how far do we want to go in there? That's it. The words are the way to identify those things. So is body language, so is mood.
How do you do that? How do you create that space because a lot of artists are very sensitive, whether you're a producer, entertainer, performer, even broadcasters themselves, what makes you just, I feel, this master and be able to give that space and allow people to open up and share those colors? I just try to listen, and I try to stay as present as possible. If I get into a conversation with somebody and
feel the need to interject or contribute, it's because I think something really interesting just presented itself. And there's an opportunity for us to explore that even further. And so that may require a little bit of a nudge or perhaps a bit of a story from me in order to make them feel less alone, in order to encourage them to go a little bit deeper into it, because it feels a little more conversational because we're sharing something in common now. I'm trying to get away from a Q&A. And don't get me wrong, Q&A is really important, but I'm not beholden to that anymore. I'm not looking at like that anymore, like it's the only architecture that I should stay in. I'm looking at it as one big, wide open canvas that could be formal at one moment and informal the next, and funny, and then 5 minutes later it could be emotional, vulnerable. And I'm just trying to let it all come in, like I said, different colors. And then only at the end of it do we take a step back and go, okay, that's what's on the canvas today. That's what we got. Let's frame it, put it out, and see if people like it.
It's such a hard thing to kind of express that to people, especially in the broadcasting space, because to a lot of people it is just, to them it's a Q&A. You know, a lot of people representing artists, I'm sure you've dealt with many managers, many agents, label reps, everything like that, but I really do, I agree wholeheartedly on the essence of feeling.
It's all feeling for me, and there's something really important about having a format or an environment where it's more question and answer. Like the sharing and the gathering and sharing of information is important, and it doesn't all have to be the way that anyone does it. Doesn't have to be the only way. But for me, and I've done that. I did that for a long time. It was far more of a sort of straightforward question and answer type thing. I would go into conversations, bro, and I would have them mapped out.
Yeah,
like. That's kind of almost completely ignoring the opportunity that's presented before you, which is what kind of mood is somebody in? What do they want to talk about? Like what, So, and that's not to say I don't prepare and I don't create architecture around things or do dummy runs in my head about where things could or couldn't go. That's fun. But whenever I sit down with somebody or in a conversation with somebody and the opportunity is for us to just capture a moment, it's important you stay in the moment. That's just what I'm trying to do. And to me, the most effective way I can stay in the moment is to try to hold on to the feeling that I have in that moment. Otherwise, it gets quite cerebral quite quick, especially for me.
Yeah,
it becomes quite overthought and analytical, and I'm trying to get away from that. If you see me in interviews just quickly going like that, and sometimes you see my hand often going like that, not that you ever look that closely, and we don't often put it on camera. Sometimes every now and then you might see me doing shapes and like compulsively like that. It's me. That is the analytical side of me being preoccupied so that I can remain in the moment with somebody and be present, if that makes sense.
That does make sense.
Yeah, it's a little hack.
Less cerebral, more visceral.
I don't want to think if I can help it. I mean, I want to think about it from a thoughtful point of view, but I don't want to sit there and question it while I'm in it. I just want to be in it.
Michael Jackson says that all the time. He never thinks when he's on stage, never thinks when he writes music. He feels it, or the ideas just kind of land on his lap.
It happens, and that's where that's where it's good to have like a playbook that you've developed, some hacks, some ways to deal with situations that may not go according to plan. But a good day is, a good one is when you come out of it and neither of you know where the time went.
I'm still trying to understand that balance though, between the essence of absolutely feeling and finding your way in, and staying grounded, staying present, letting the emotion kind of take its course, and while at the same time trying to promote someone's album.
Right.
Or sometimes when a manager or a rep kind of steps in and goes, you have to cover this, you have to talk about
and
that.
Happens. It happens to me still. I mean, sometimes we finish and Dan or someone will come and be like, hey, be really good, or Jackson on the team will be like, hey, it'd be really good if we could just answer a couple music questions.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, like for me, I'm not afraid of being vulnerable or someone being vulnerable in that space anymore, because it's a choice. We can decide to not do that. We can decide to be like, I don't want to talk about that anymore, whatever. But if someone decides to talk about it, I'm open to it and just want to give them the space to feel comfortable enough to say what's on their mind at that moment in time. And I also think like removing any objectives that are like, where are my social clips? Where are my hits? Where are the things I really need to get out of this? When I realize that's not how I'd like to do things and I'm not good at it, I'm much better just being like this. And people can decide whether they like it, that or not. And I think when people started to like it and say to me, oh no, we like that kind of way you do it, it works too. It just took a lot of the, any of the sort of architecture of it or whatever just fell away, and it was like, okay, you've got an hour or whatever, just make it mean something. Just make it mean something to the person in front of you or the people, to yourself, and just give an honest, just try to provide an honest example of where someone is. If you do that, it sort of takes away any of the time, space, restrictions of it.
Sure.
And that's why I think the conversations we have tend to keep getting watched, because they're not really of a time or a place, if that makes sense.
Oh, no, yeah, I understand completely. The funny thing is, every time I watch an interview, especially that you do with these longer form conversations that you're having with, Gaga, Harry Styles, Kanye West, I don't even know what album they're promoting.
Right.
I don't even know what year this interview even happened, because the content that I'm getting from this artist is stuff that's so innately in their soul.
Well, that is two people who are just dialed in. That's the aim. That's just honoring the time we have right now to have this conversation right now. You and I are doing it right now. We haven't promoted anything, but I'm finding it really interesting.
Yeah.
So that is us just honoring the opportunity we have to spend here having a conversation because we're curious about the same thing. And where it goes, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. That's life in a nutshell, man. You'll figure it out.
I want to talk to you quickly about Apple Music.
Yeah. Let's promote something.
Let's promote something. Whenever I pick up an iPod, I'm thinking of Steve Jobs. I'm thinking of Johnny Ive.
That's right.
I'm thinking of hardware, incredible architecture.
That's
and
right.
I think with Apple Music, which is, I feel, the next generation of music technology within Apple, I see you.
Whoa, I didn't see that coming.
I do. I see
praise.
you. I see Brooke Reese.
Yep.
I see Travis Mills, Ebro,
Juliet Anuga, Jimmy Iovine,
the greats.
Yep.
Even to the point of, I got to meet with the other former employees like Julie Pilot and the late great Forrest.
My gosh, Forrest.
Yeah. And
Forrest.
I think you guys have created something so magical and so wonderful.
Thanks, man.
Holding over 150 million songs for everyone to listen to.
You know what? As well, I agree, and we agree. And it's so nice you say that because genuinely, I agree. I'm the first person to say we got work to do or we didn't quite hit our mark. But with Apple Music, I'm really proud of the fact that, for all of the work we've had to do and all the improvements we all still will live and will forever have to make, that we've stayed true to what we originally set out to do, which is create a space where artists feel welcome and feel heard and are not just delivering their files to be distributed, that it's way bigger and more special than that. It's emotion and thought and feeling that's really thoughtfully captured and presented through the context of magic and music, and that we should honor that. Those are important words. Those are not light words. So let's not do light work.
I agree. You use two words, magic and music, and I think they're both the same.
They are the same.
They both equalize each other, really.
Yes, you get it. Music is magic.
We should call it Apple Magic.
People might come to us for a different reason, though. I was expecting a rabbit out of a hat here. What's going on?
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, I love it so much. How do you do the right balance? Because, like you said, Apple Music could have easily been a distribution platform, but there is such a personal and emotional experience that happens with it, right? And I've seen it go through all the evolutions, and that spirit remains the exact same.
Well, that's the key word. It's the spirit, right? It's Steve's spirit. It's the spirit of the company that created all this amazing technology, but ensured that they created tools for people to be creative with. They work closely to allow those tools to be meaningful and not just for efficiency and effectiveness and scale and profit, but they're actually great tools. That's the spirit of the people who started Apple Music and wanted to continue in that tradition, and hired me and people like me who care about music. And I'm at Apple because I love the company, but also they love me and they love what me and the people that like me love. They don't try to change us. They don't go like, we like a certain part of it, but we'd like you to keep that, but change this part. They're like, no, you know, we want to work with you because of how you feel about music, and we feel the same way. So if we provide you with resources and generosity of time and grace, and you honor the company, what we stand for, would you come and work really hard and do your best work? Who's going to say no to that? So, you know, I am very grateful for that spirit, and I feel like I've been very lucky that over the course of my life to date, and hopefully for much longer to come, that I've, you know, been able to find myself in places where I feel like this thing that started out as a really precious and special gift for me as a kid, that I'm still able to honor it without compromise, really. And that's pretty amazing, you know, to be able to come to a place like Sydney on a trip like this, take part in Vivid, meet someone like yourself who's such a genuine, you know, cool and generous human, sharing your story. I get to share my story. This is magical for me. There's no hard yard here, man. It's hard work, but it's good work. And I mean, my whole life has just been being able to just keep finding another experience after another experience like that. So that is the magic that I'm constantly drawn to.
That is the magic. I feel it. I feel it so much.
You knew it because you wanted to make a change in your life.
Yeah.
You went searching for the thing that was going to help you unlock that.
Yeah.
And now you're on your own journey, and you know, it doesn't always go the way you want it to, and it doesn't always happen as fast as you want it to, and all those things are a fact of life. But you know, just honoring the thing that really speaks to you, and then speaks through you if you let it. It's pretty amazing.
It's almost like you're being the source of...
That is it, dude.
Yeah.
It is no more than that. There's no ownership here. That's why words like career, we've got to give them something.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be weird and try it and say like career, like, cool, it's a career. Absolutely. It's a collection of experiences and jobs and paychecks and things along the way that allow you to keep living the life, and it's a blessing. But beyond that, man, it's certainly not anything I feel I have any ownership over at all. Like, I'm not being weird about it. I'm genuine about that. Like, I don't feel like I have ownership over this part of my life. I just show up because I love it, and I try to tap in and listen to it and let it guide me, and then honor it.
Yeah.
That's kind of it.
I've got one last question.
Let's go.
That's my last one. There are so many people like me out there in the world who probably haven't been given the opportunity to do what we do, right? Giving love magic, honoring what we love to the world, who feel trapped because the radio world, the broadcasting world, you know, it's not on its strongest legs at the moment, and people are seeing their future burn before their eyes. What do you have to say to those people who want to be the next Zane Lowe or the next architect in music and culture? Well,
let's acknowledge that there's a requirement toward kind of maintaining some emotional, financial, holistic real estate on this planet while you're here. So there's the keeping the lights on, spiritually, literally, in life, and that's important. We've all had moments in our lives, and we all have to do that. So let's acknowledge that that's the reality of, you know, going to work or going to school or doing what you got to go do to figure out how to get to where you want to get to. That's okay. That's life. And while we acknowledge that, let's also take a look at what this other part of it is, which is this kind of this desire to do something that you know in your heart is going to make you happy. I just wouldn't want to think that we don't have a choice. Okay, you can go and scale something and build it and make it more efficient and faster and effective and make a lot of money out of it, but I can choose not to use that. And I can choose to go and build something for myself. So I don't really have anything to say to those people, but I would say to myself, and right now in a situation where I feel those moments, I still have a choice to work in an area that makes me happy. You know, regardless of whether or not I'm being told it's not needed anymore over here. I get to decide that, right? The person who makes, you know, something that makes them happy, that has a very small base of people who love it, who need it in their life, in the smallest community, in the smallest town, in the smallest country, are happy, if that makes them happy. And, you know, so separate the ambition of it and the dreams and the desires to reach as many people as possible for a second, and can you still do the thing that you love? Mm-hmm. Can you still go on and recommend and share and be passionate about something in the hope that you're able to create a passion in other people? You're still able to create music, and you're still able to create art. You're still able to make those things and do those things. Until they take that away from us, it's the same, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And what you do with it and how far you get to take it, okay, that's a changing landscape. We've got to figure that out. But at the very core of it, the desire to create and express yourself and learn something about yourself, no scalable development and any evolutionary thing is going to change that. One of my favorite musicians of all time makes a record every 15, 20 years, but when he does, the world stops for me.
Yeah.
So it's about asking yourself what you want to get out of it, how much of a hurry you're in, what you want. And by the way, if you want to get it all out of it, if you want to get everything out of it and you're in a real hurry, you got work to do.
Yeah.
There's no shortcut for that than just hard work and grind and unstoppable dedication. But if you're worried that I'm worried, we're all worried, that what's going on in front of us right now is going to take these opportunities away, I feel like we have a choice. No one can take my guitar out of my hand.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You can go put a prompt in, and you can go and make something out of nothing.
Yep.
That's up to you what you do with that. Mm-hmm. But it's not going to change, it's not going to stop me from picking an instrument up and playing it. Mm-hmm. So really it's a bit smoke and mirrors in that regard for me.
I agree.
There's real reality to business and jobs, but in terms of the whole, will I stop caring? That's my choice. Mm-hmm. I'll always care. I'll always want to make music. I'll always want to do this. I don't feel like I'm replaceable because I'll have to replace myself. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Zane, with you the spirit never dies.
Oh man,
and
that's all we have.
I think sources is the best way to describe what we do.
Yeah.
And I think what you bring out to the world is just so powerful and has changed so many lives, including myself.
Oh, dude, I mean, it's beautiful to hear, but man, I feel so lucky and fortunate. And I think it's really important to remember that, I think you find your true purpose and you make really great things if you're creative in a space of isolation, and that could be with other people, but in a place away from all of the thrash. Mm. But when you find it and when it connects and when it really is when it's time, it can happen really fast. So I would just like you, man, you just chip away until you find your way in the room, and then you just make it happen. It's good. I really enjoyed that.
I appreciate it
so
much,
bro.
Man. Thank you. Thanks, man. I appreciate it very much.
Special dude.
Thank you.